The Art of Leadership Network.
Hey leaders, welcome to the LeadCulture Podcast. I'm your host, Jenni Catron, founder and CEO of the Foresight Group, where our mission is to cultivate healthy leaders to lead thriving teams. This podcast is for leaders who want more than just good intentions. You want clarity, confidence, and practical tools to lead well in the real world. Each week, I'll equip you to navigate the challenges of leadership and culture with insight that you can actually put into practice. We'll explore what it really takes to lead yourself well, because the way you show up as a leader shapes everything, from your decisions to your team's health and momentum. My goal is to equip you to lead with purpose, strengthen your culture, and create environments where people and organizations flourish. Along the way, you're going to hear honest conversations, real stories, and proven frameworks, from leadership and culture topics to insights from guests and leaders who are committed to doing the work of leading well. So whether you're leading a team, an organization, or simply working to grow as a leader, you're in the right place. So let's dive in and continue this leadership journey together. Well, friends, today I want to talk about probably one of my favorite topics, self-leadership or self-awareness and its impact on how we show up inside our organizations, and then how that connects actually to our cultures, because there is a clear line that connects how we lead ourselves to what that looks like in the impact of our organizational culture. So I want to talk about the power of self-awareness and organizational self-awareness. Now, let me go back to last week's episode just a little bit for a little context. We talked last week about what I called the Clarity Cascade. And you'll remember from the culture hierarchy of needs that's in our LeadCulture Framework, we talk about those needs that employees have to be able to fully engage and ultimately thrive in their work. And one of the big gaping holes in that hierarchy is this level that we call organizational clarity. And the organizational clarity bucket has what I call the Clarity Cascade, that we need a clear mission for why we exist. We need a vision of what we're trying to accomplish on the horizon, like what's that target that we're all aiming for. We need a clear strategy of how are we going to achieve that goal or that vision. And then we need to get really clear about our structure. Who is aligned to help us accomplish that strategy, that vision, that mission? And last week, I spent a lot of time just talking about the structure and why that structure should serve the strategy. And that's why I call it the Clarity Cascade. These things have to happen in order. We need a clear mission first. Then we need the vision for what's that horizon mark that helps us get to that mission. What's the strategy to achieve it? And then structure the team to support that strategy. Now I want to take that just a smidge deeper and talk about, now we have that team of people aligned to help us accomplish that strategy, that vision, that mission. Now, how do we better equip them to fully engage? Before I go any further, I want to talk a little bit about, or just give you a heads up on a webinar that I am doing on, I got to get this date in front of me. You guys, I am juggling all the things. February 17th. So next week, if you're listening to this when this episode launches, this is just days away, but I am doing a webinar with one of my heroes in organizational health, Patrick Lencioni. If you're a fan, I know you're a fan, because if you're here, you're a geek about this stuff as well. And so you know that Patrick Lencioni is just a legend in organizational health. And he is somebody I have learned from for years. I've had the privilege of connecting with. He wrote the foreword for my book, Clout, to which I am forever indebted because he was so extraordinarily gracious. He didn't know me. We had a mutual friend make the connection, and he read Clout. And you guys, he was so generous with his feedback, and just so kind and reassuring of that message. And I've forever been marked by that. But I have learned from his work for years and years and years. We've connected on and off. He's going to do a webinar with us on the Working Genius, which is one of his tools to help teams know how to work together effectively. And so this episode today is going to speak to that and why tools like the Working Genius are so powerful for shaping culture. But before I go on with this episode, I want you to mark February 17th. That is Tuesday, the 17th at 2:30 Central. We are doing this webinar. And so we'll put the link in the show notes so you can get registered for that. It's free. Invite your entire team, carve it out, and join me for that webinar because it is going to be absolute gold. So February 17th, 2:30 Central, Patrick Lencioni. And we're going to have a phenomenal conversation about the power of the Working Genius related to organizational culture. So today, what I want to do is I want to talk about how tools like the Working Genius are so valuable, why they're so valuable to shaping culture. You guys know a lot of things shape culture. A lot of things impact culture. But how we align our team is so critical to the success of our team. So last week we talked about that Clarity Cascade. Our missions are why, our visions are what, our strategies are how, our structure is our who. Now let's take the who a little deeper. And you've heard me frequently talk about the power of self-awareness. I actually think self-awareness is the secret weapon of successful leaders. So this is foundational. When we talk about our who's on our team, the people that are assembled to help us achieve that mission, vision, strategy, we need to help them understand who they are. Right? That they need to understand how they're wired, how they're gifted, how they operate, how they think. Like we need to help and equip them to do this. And what we're finding is that people are more and more coming into the workplace with less of an understanding of these things. And so leaders, this is on us. Like we need to guide people to greater understanding of self-awareness. And then what I would say is others awareness. And both of these are components of emotional intelligence. But here's what's fascinating. I'm going to just give you a little bit of background on the power of self-awareness, and then we're going to talk about others' awareness and then how tools like Working Genius actually help us with understanding of these things. Self-awareness, there was a study done by Green Peak Partners and Cornell University that found that a high self-awareness score was the strongest predictor of overall success. And this was a survey around for CEOs. Highest predictor of success was a high self-awareness score. And it went on to say that while experience, confidence, ability to make tough decisions, and other so-called hard skills were important, the researchers concluded that self-awareness was the key differentiator for the most successful leaders. The executives most likely to deliver good bottom line results are actually self-aware leaders who are especially good at working with individuals and in teams. So self-awareness equips us to work with others in a way that leads to results. When we have greater self-awareness, understanding of how we're wired, how we're gifted, how we show up, what we're good at, what we're not good at, the more self-awareness we have, the better we're able to engage with those around us. And it's why people promoted because of competence sometimes flounder in leadership, right? Like they might be promoted because they're really good at the functional skill of their role, but if they're lacking self-awareness and some of the emotional intelligence skills, that starts to become a major inhibitor to their success. And this is something that I think we can, I know we can impact significantly as leaders when we dig into this and we start to pay attention to this. I mentioned to you, this is a key component of emotional intelligence, which I really think is the superpower of the best leaders, right? Like emotionally intelligent leaders, these are the things that actually differentiate us. The more emotionally intelligent we are, the more we're going to differentiate ourselves in the workplace. We live in a time where a lot of our work can be replicated by machines and artificial intelligence. We're like in real time trying to figure out what all of this means. But what can't be reproduced authentically are the people skills historically referred to as soft skills, meaning the skills required to emotionally connect and interact effectively with others. And I believe that no matter how many job functions artificial intelligence replaces, the need for leaders who can relate and respond to humans will be a differentiating behavior. So while the need for emotional intelligence has grown, the development of these skills has decreased. A growing number of young leaders enter the workforce lacking the relational skills that will set them apart in today's workplace. And this is why the best organizational cultures focus on cultivating emotional intelligence in their team members. This is what I want you to hear today, is that as you're hiring, people are coming onto your team and they're lacking some of these skills and it's frustrating you. Like I 100% get it. But this is our opportunity, is to develop the people that we're entrusted to lead. And you have to figure out where are they and how do I equip them to lead effectively, to have great self-awareness, great others awareness, great emotional intelligence so that they can succeed in their work. Because if they can't work and relate well with others, they're not ultimately going to succeed, right? So that structure, it's really important that we start equipping them not only with the skills to do the job and the roles and their responsibilities, but we're also paying attention to their growth and their development. In the LeadCulture Framework, we talk about when you're building out that structure, you want to be really clear about roles and responsibilities. We talked about that last week quite a bit as well. And then we want to have mechanisms for feedback and ongoing coaching, right? So whether it's performance reviews and assessments, one-on-one meetings, whatever those rhythms of coaching and development look like, you want to make sure that you're not just coaching and developing for those functional skills or those hard skills, but you're also coaching and developing the emotional intelligence skills, the tools that help people understand how to show up more confidently with better awareness of themselves and better awareness of how they show up around others. So let me just give you a little more insight on emotional intelligence, just to kind of help round out the picture. It's commonly divided into 4 categories: self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and relationship management. And I'll give you a brief description of each of these. And this is from Travis Bradberry and Gene Greaves' book, Emotional Intelligence 2.0. One of my favorite books on emotional intelligence, by the way, Emotional Intelligence 2.0. Now, here's how they describe those 4 things. Self-awareness is your ability to accurately perceive your own emotions in the moment and understand your tendencies across situations. So think about how powerful this is. If you are in a meeting and you notice you're either getting frustrated or you're getting really excited, whatever the emotion is, that you're able to recognize that in the moment and understand like what's happening with you. So you're understanding how you're showing up to others. Really powerful. We've seen people who completely lack self-awareness and lose their temper or react in the moment, and it kind of derails a meeting, right? So self-awareness, that ability to accurately perceive your own emotions. Self-management goes hand in hand. It's your ability to use your awareness of your emotions to stay flexible and direct your behavior positively. So I'm self-aware that I have this emotion right now in this meeting or in this interaction. Now I'm going to have the self-management skills to manage myself appropriately in that interaction. Social awareness is your ability to accurately pick up on the emotions in other people and understand what is really going on with them. So this is where it begins to get really powerful. Social awareness is now, I'm not only aware of my emotions, I'm aware of yours. I'm aware of what's going on with you, and I'm able to respond or react more appropriately because I'm paying attention to how you're doing. Like I have that social awareness. And then relationship management is your ability to use your awareness of your own emotions and those of others to manage interactions successfully. So you see how they build on each other and how powerful they are to building culture. Can you imagine if you have a team of staff who are all self-aware and others aware? Like if you have a team of staff, emotionally intelligent staff, can you imagine how much more your work is accelerated because of that? See, this is a component of development. It's a component of organizational clarity that as we get clear about who we are as an organization, what we're doing, how we're achieving it, who's responsible for what, and then every person on the team has that level of emotional intelligence, you guys, it's a total game changer. So to build a high trust culture, you want to seek out team members and promote managers who demonstrate high emotional intelligence. Guys, don't just promote on competence, promote on emotional intelligence. People with strong emotional intelligence have the skills required to successfully lead others as they work through the complexities of everyday organizational life. It's not a culture devoid of tensions, right? Those are going to exist, or frustrations or crisis, but a culture where leaders are equipped to know how to appropriately engage these moments and lead everyone forward. Like leaders with strong emotional intelligence are game changers. And here's one last thing that I'll say about this, is that emotional intelligence is a skill that can be developed. Significant studies show that we're capable of developing these skills and improving them. So no matter where you are or why you may feel like you have weaknesses in one or all of these emotional intelligence competencies, science shows that these are skills we can develop. And that, you guys, is one of my favorite things around this topic, is that there's so much hope, there's so much opportunity. And then for you as the leader, this is a game changer, right? This is a game changer. I am a huge advocate of finding tools and resources that help your team understand themselves and understand one another. So whether you use something like some of the personality assessments like DISC or Myers-Briggs or Enneagram or StrengthsFinder, like those are really, really good tools to first understand ourselves, right? And then they can give language to the team for how others are wired, right? It's so helpful for me to understand that I am an achiever first on StrengthsFinder. Like I am just high achievement. I want to get things done at all costs, which sometimes makes me too impatient and rushed. And so I need to understand that and be aware. But if my team members know that about me and they feel that impatience, they can go, oh, she's feeling the urgency to keep things moving. So when I feel her impatience, this is why. She's not impatient with me necessarily. She's impatient because she wants to keep things moving. Now, I'm not saying that's a blanket for me to always be impatient, right? But the more I'm self-aware around that and going, okay, here's why I'm impatient. I'm impatient because I feel this need to achieve. All right, I need to slow myself down. I need to figure out why I'm feeling like I'm not achieving fast enough. And then my team members, knowing that about me, might also be able to say, hey, I know you're feeling the urgency of wanting to get this done, but here's why I feel like we need to slow down and take a few more steps, right? You see how we can help one another in that? It's not making excuses, but it's creating awareness that helps us kind of lean in and grow through it. And that's the massive opportunity. So I am a huge fan of any of those tools. They all work. They're all really powerful. So I think if there's one that your team has done at some point, pull it out, dust it off, and use it again. Here's what I find happen a lot is that we do one of those tools because it's the new, great, flashy thing that everybody's doing. We do it once. Everybody kind of learns a little bit, and then we put it away and we don't bring it out again. You want to actually make this language that shapes your culture, right? That people actually understand it. Like some of them are more complicated. Myers-Briggs is really, really powerful, but it's a little complicated to understand. So if you're not using it frequently enough, it doesn't actually give you understanding. And that's what you're aiming for, is understanding for the individual and understanding for others on the team, that they can go, oh, okay, I know that Jenni's an INTJ. I know that she's an introvert technically, even though she has a very extroverted job. So when she schedules time for introvert time, when she needs her writing time, that's actually rejuvenating for her. And conversely, like somebody else on the team who might be an extrovert is like, they need to process with others. They need that interaction, and that actually helps them flourish. So whatever tool you use, make sure you're deep diving on it and not just doing a gloss over. I've worked with a ton of teams that have done all of them, and it's just created confusion and, in fact, a little frustration because they're like, oh, okay, great, another personality assessment to just try to tell me who I am and pigeonhole me into a box. And so you it actually becomes a negative in your culture. So you want to pick one and you want to like actually deep dive, train for it, help people use it as a tool of self-awareness and others' awareness. And then the next one I want to talk about, and this is the one we're going to unpack in the webinar with Patrick Lencioni, is the Working Genius. This one I think you need to use in addition to any of the other personality tools. So the personality assessment tools tell you more about just what you're passionate about and what you're interested in. The Working Genius helps you understand how you work. So it's really more about how teams work together. And this one is super fascinating in that I believe pick one of the personality assessments and then choose Working Genius, because Working Genius helps you understand how you work together. There are 6 geniuses and every project needs all 6 geniuses. And this helps you know how you're structured as a team to actually get the work done. The personality assessments help you understand how everybody thinks, gives you emotional intelligence and awareness of how they think and how they operate and what motivates them. The Working Genius helps you understand how they show up to a project, to the team, and how they work. So, for example, in Working Genius, and I'm not going to over-explain this because Patrick's going to do a deep dive for us on the webinar. So some of you are familiar, some of you aren't familiar. But basically in Working Genius, my geniuses are invention and discernment. So I'm really good at the front of projects, like in the invention stage, like when we're creating something. It's why I love creating content. And then I have the discernment genius, which helps me know, hey, will that work? Or will that connect? Will people understand it? And so those two things are really good on the early stages of a project. But when we get into the details and to getting it over the finish line, I'm not as strong. And so we actually need other team members with those geniuses because they're more wired to get it across the finish line and to connect all the dots all the way through, because I moved on to my next idea. Again, not an excuse for me to not do my part or not do the things that I'm responsible for, but it's a helpful piece of understanding and awareness. And that's all I'm going to do because Patrick's going to explain it so much better for us in the webinar. Here's what I'd love for you to do. If you are familiar with Working Genius, I want you to go get your Working Genius assessments and invite your whole team and register for the webinar on the 17th. If you have not taken the Working Genius, we're going to put a link in the show notes, and I want you to go get the assessment. We have a special promo rate for Foresight that you're going to get a discount off of those assessments. I want you to go actually take the assessment, get your whole team to take it, and then come to the webinar with your results in hand. And it's going to be so illuminating. It's going to give you so much insight into where your team might be getting stuck. Like, even though you've clarified, you've done your Clarity Cascade, mission, vision, strategy, structure, you have roles and responsibilities, but for some reason things are still getting stuck. The Working Genius is going to help illuminate why that might be. So it's going to be a phenomenal resource for us to dig deeper into how do we provide the clarity that helps our teams succeed. So make sure that's on your calendar, February 17th. You can find the link in the show notes, get registered, invite your team, get all of them registered, go take the Working Genius assessment, and then join us for that webinar. It's going to be a fantastic opportunity for us to keep providing the clarity that team members need to succeed. All right, friends, I hope I'm connecting the dots a little bit on all of these pieces of the puzzle. You hear me say frequently that clarity is the chief indicator of the health of a culture. And a lot of things shape culture, don't they? Like, sometimes it feels a little overwhelming that there's so many things that influence culture. The more we can create moments of understanding and awareness as individuals and as an organization as a whole, the more understanding we have of one another, the more powerfully we work together. So I want you to be thinking about that. Where might we be lacking just a little clarity of our own gifts, strengths, how we show up, and what could you do to help provide opportunities for growth and development in emotional intelligence and self-awareness and others' awareness. So that was a lot. I feel like I just unloaded because it's a topic that I love so very much. But takeaway, go get registered for the webinar because our conversation with Pat is going to be just a fantastic resource in continuing to provide clarity for success. I will see you next week. Even before then, I'll see you on the webinar. Thanks, guys.